Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to another edition of Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother Podcast, Classic Edition. I'm Ralph Quattrucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Deborah Murphy.
As always, I'm John Quattrucci.
And I'm Chris Coker.
Hey, Chris, welcome back.
Yeah, we missed you.
I love what you've done with your hair. Seriously.
Yeah,
Looks
well,
good.
yeah,
Like a
I made
face
it longer.
Yeah, you missed our last one. You know, Chris is in and out every other week, maybe,
Yep.
maybe not. Depends on the, So hopefully we keep him coming back, which is great. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Survived the NFL football playoffs?
Yeah.
Well, actually, Baltimore wasn't even in. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought that up. But
Well, as I told John, I was feeling his pain.
Patriots
I
are
felt
out.
it for about 4 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
I
gotta
was
tell you
in.
something.
Go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, after the second quarter, I stopped watching it. It was just, they weren't going anywhere. You could see it. I mean, Buffalo looked amazing, and the Patriots looked awful. Like, I've never seen them. I've been a season ticket holder for 20 years. I've never seen them that unprepared for a game. It was unbelievable. I didn't think they were going to win.
Well, Buffalo's rolling right now.
But not like that. I never saw that coming.
I was in Boston this weekend. I was supposed to do the show I was going to got canceled, but I kept it. I went anyway, and I was in Faneuil Hall actually at a bar watching Brady beat the Eagles.
Oh yeah,
and that whole Boston crowd was all Brady.
Well,
Brady.
Why? Because the Patriots were out of it, so you
Well,
want to root
that,
for
and
Brady
I think they just love Brady.
Yeah.
If you have to be honest.
And of course, Debbie and I were rooting for the Chiefs, and they did terrific. And maybe we'll have a Chief on our podcast sometime soon.
That would
Look
be
at
cool.
that little foreshadowing. That was
but
weird.
Pittsburgh doesn't even deserve to be in the playoffs. Okay?
I know the Ravens almost made that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a joke. I mean, some of the teams that I like the extra playoff game, but if you looked at all the games, they were mostly garbage. I mean, teams got wiped out. There was only one competitive game. It was the Cincinnati game that went down in the last pass. But most of the games weren't competitive at all. It was,
but how
next
much
week's
fun-
going to be a good week.
But also, how much fun is it to watch Dallas just dismantle and screw up again?
And the way they blew it was just glorious.
So much fun.
Now, I had a great idea when I was watching the football matches, or not matches. I said
Games?
The matches, yes.
tennis. I got tennis elbows, so now I'm talking like an athlete. But really, the football was some of the plays were just so fantastic, like football players diving and over each other and then catching a rebounded ball, from somebody else. I thought it would be great to add all the football shots that are really, great athletic pieces of accomplishments to music, set it to some ballet music, have
That's amazing. Nobody's done that yet.
I would love
Debbie.
to do that. I think that's
Debbie, have you ever watched NFL films?
Yeah.
NFL
Have you ever
Films
watched
does it all the
NFL
time.
films?
what?
NFL films. Go on
they do that all
YouTube.
the time.
Go on YouTube and look up
Oh,
NFL
yeah.
films.
Plays of the week.
The whole thing, opera music was designed for football. It's amazing
Yeah.
if you watch the slow motion. So
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a
So it's-
dollar short and a day late.
maybe a little bit. We still love you anyway. It doesn't matter. All right. Well, before we get to the film that I brought, let's talk about what you watch. Let's start with Sean and Debbie. What'd you watch this week?
Well, we actually went to the theaters again.
What?
We took our 3 granddaughters yesterday, MLK Day, to take them to see the new Spider-Man movie, which was really terrific.
Fantastic.
And I don't know what would be considered a spoiler, but let's just say the entire film was one callback to everything.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think everybody pretty much knows now. what
Yeah, it's
happened.
all out
They
there
kept
now,
it a
so-
secret for a long time, but
But I mean, all the Spider-Men were there.
Yeah.
Every villain. I can't imagine how much that cast cost on that movie, And I tell you, it was more, I think because there was less special effects, less flying around because they spent more time talking and thinking.
Yeah. Developing character.
Yeah, and I just thought it was a really terrific film.
Was it a crowded movie theater?
There were
No.
there were 2 other couples and a single
Okay.
person amongst. With
So
us.
when I saw it, it was a full.
We were at a 12 noon screening.
And
though.
guess
Okay.
how much the movie tickets for 5 people are, and with popcorn? drinks,
Candy.
and candy.
And
$350.
$80.
$100.
Wow.
97.
$97.
Yeah.
So you're exaggerating? It's not 100. It's 97.
Did you get the? Did you get the old people tickets?
The old people.
I can't
Well, it
think.
was a matinee.
The senior.
Matinee and
It was
all.
the same as all.
So when I saw it, Sean, I saw it with a full house. The third night it was open.
Does this
And
count
when-
as your talk, John?
When
Is this-
Andrew Garfield came walking through the portal,
Yeah.
they went nuts.
Spoilers.
The crowd went absolutely crazy. And same thing with Tobey Maguire. The reaction from the audience was unbelievable. And they weren't just throwaways. They were an integral part of the story, which I really liked.
Yeah.
So was it like, as a guy who literally hasn't seen any of the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, believe it or not, even though I really like him as Spider-Man when he showed up in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So is it like an Enter the Spider-Verse kind of thing?
It's you know what? It's got that flavor to it. But the good news is, Chris, you don't have to see the first two Holland movies to like this movie, because
Sure.
this was by far his best characterization.
Sure.
The first two are he was fluffy, which I didn't mind because the others were so dark. But this one, he's really good in it, and the chemistry with the three of them is fantastic.
just
And
amazing.
also, I will-
It's amazing.
you know,
It's amazing. And when they get out there
It's
in the
best if-
Spider-Verse,
it's
you
best
guys,
if
come
you
on. Are there any good movies out anymore? Or is this
I
it?
just want to say it's best if you saw the one before it with Mysterio, because it really drives.
Well, yeah, but
Doesn't that set up the whole? I haven't even seen.
but you can. I mean, they kind of tee it up in the beginning of it. And
I
by
just
way,
saw the
Ralph,
first two Spider-Mans, the first two Sam
Sam
Raimi. That's
Raimi.
it.
Sam
Sam
Raimi.
Raimi.
I haven't seen anything else.
Into the Spider-Verse is probably the best Spider-Man.
That's the cartoon?
Yeah, it's probably the
Yeah.
best Spider-Man movie. It was
Terrific.
great. Sorry.
Okay. All right. John, what'd you
and
watch?
also, I just want to say, saw the trailer for The Batman, which I
Yeah.
was skeptical of. That looks really good.
It looks pretty good, pretty dark. Okay, so what am I watching? I finally got around, as everyone knows, I'm a big comic book movie fan, and I wasn't going to go see it in the movie theaters because I read so much about it, but I finally saw The Eternals,
Ugh, Jesus. Do we have to
and
put
that sucked.
That's what everyone
I mean,
says.
big time.
That's a shock.
It felt like it went on eternally. Okay. There was a lot of great shots of like 10 of them standing there posing. They did that several times throughout the movie, but it was just not a good movie. It was boring. It was very dark the way it was shot, which I really don't understand. And I watch these so you don't have to. Do not. If you can watch it on HBO Max, I think it's Disney Plus.
Disney
But
Plus.
I wouldn't go to the movie theater for this. It was terrible, and I don't know what they think they're setting up because it bombed.
Was that with Angelina Jolie?
Yeah, but it was just the whole. She was the biggest name in the cast.
Except they had the guy that. Did you ever see The Bodyguard on BBC?
No.
Oh my God. It's like a James Bond type guy, but he's a bodyguard and he's one of the Eternals. That's all I know.
Is he Icarus, the lead guy?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Main guy, dark hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. About 5'8".
But it was bad. It was really bad. And the reviews on it were really bad. And I kind of said, well, it can't be that bad. But no, it was that bad. It was boring. The action wasn't good. And it was just, it was a lot of them sitting around a table talking. And you don't really want that in a superhero movie. That's what I watched.
I want to jump in and say one more thing to warn people off of. We saw on Netflix, because it was high listed, The Colony. And that was really pretty dismal,
That was
too.
awful.
The Colony, I never heard of it.
Well, the good news though is
Returning to Earth.
yeah.
They had moved to like some other planet where they suddenly couldn't reproduce. So they sent some missions back to Earth to see if it's inhabitable and whether people can reproduce. But the previous mission was enslaving women and everything.
It was so predictable.
It
I
was
mean,
so-
geez,
God.
This was a movie, not a series. A movie.
I thought it was a
So
series when I
good.
clicked on it. I'm like, boy, it's really telling a lot of a story. And it ended up being a movie, but it was a huge disappointment.
Oh,
Rarely have I sat through something on streaming because I thought it was a series like, okay, I can watch another 5 minutes. I can watch another 5 minutes. Then I'm looking, it's like 80 minutes in. I'm
It's
like,
an
oh
hour.
God, it's a movie.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I'm in this far. I might as well
Yeah.
finish it. Because usually I hate to say, if you're in a movie and you see a movie, I've only left like 4 movies in my life, but when you're streaming something, if you're not getting into it, you just turn it off. Usually.
That's right. Just change the channel.
But the good news there is Netflix has jacked up their rates, so you got that.
Well,
too. So
yeah.
Chris.
I haven't really watched that much in the last couple. I watched A Face in the Crowd, honestly.
Classic. You should check out our podcast about that, or our video.
It was
cast,
actually really good. Actually, though, I will say this, not to bounce too much and say all the things I wish I could have joined you to say, but one of the things that it's funny, you guys were talking about different movies. You mentioned Network, I believe, when you talked about it. One other movie that it made me think of was Quiz Show, was Robert Redford's Quiz Show.
Oh yeah.
Because that directly dealt with like Geritol and stuff like that. But it did make me think of one thing, and I really did enjoy the movie. I would have, but it did make me think of one thing, and both Network and Quiz Show do the same thing. It made me feel a little bit, and I love movies more than TV by far, but movies have this tendency to sometimes, they like to wag their finger at TV. They make movies about television, about how terrible television is. And don't get me wrong, I think generally movies are more culturally significant and more artistic overall as a medium. Not that TVs can't be, but I will say this. I just think that it's, but I still really like the film. But I think it had a little touch of that, hey, we're movies and we're better than you, TV, which I actually believe, but still. Anyway. That's what I watched.
Oh. Yeah, there was a little elitism in that movie, definitely.
So you watched both the film and our podcast about it?
I did. Well, I
sat through our whole podcast?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, not just the first 9 minutes?
Said about you at the end?
You must not have. He might have edited that part out.
Maybe I did. I don't remember. But
no.
All right, cool. That is a good film. I really enjoyed watching that again, and I'm glad we did it because I thought it was pretty prescient.
I have a good idea before we move on to yours, Ralph. But I just say one thing: would it be really cool to have, we have a Super Bowl between the football players. We have a super TV against movies. Throw out.
Yeah, that. Okay. Well, Debbie, you're coming up. You're just throwing ideas out. This is good. Just see what sticks. All right. Well, I actually drove up to Massachusetts this weekend, so I was listening to a bunch of podcasts. I'm going to talk about a podcast I listened to, not something I watched. So I listened.
You subscribe to it?
I listened to this podcast called Unspooled. I listened to a podcast.
Do you subscribe to it?
To what?
Do you subscribe to that podcast?
Of course I do.
Because you should always subscribe.
Right. Hit the subscribe, share this.
And
so I listened to a podcast called Unspooled with Amy Nicholson and Paul Scheer. Paul Scheer is this actor that's in everything. He's a comedic actor.
Not Harry Shearer.
Not Harry Shearer. Paul Scheer, you know him. He was in the League. And he and his wife do another show, podcast called How They Do That or What They Made. I forget. It's like that. What's that? How did this get made?
How did this get made?
Yeah. And she was also in this new 8-bit film, this new Christmas film called 8-Bit Christmas, which is basically a reversion of Christmas Story. Anyway, they broke down my favorite Christmas film to the point where I don't think I can ever watch it again because they just brought up how horrible this film is. And I never quite got it until I listened to them. They killed Love Actually for me for the rest of my life. And this podcast went on for 2.5 hours about how they fat shame people in that film, how Richard, the guy who wrote it, is practical. I don't know. They just broke down how horrible all the human beings in this film were and how anybody could love this movie. There's something it says about us. And it was fabulous. I loved it. I loved the breakdown. And it really made me not want to see it again, but I think I'm going to have to keep watching that. But if you get a chance, listen to their stuff. They do a nice, because, he's also in the business. She's a critic. What's that?
Unspoiled?
Unspooled. Amy Nicholson is a critic and Paul Scheer's an actor. So they have good insight into films and stuff. And actually some of the films he talks about were scripts that he read for, didn't get them. And, he's got that inside scoop on stuff.
Oh, so he's a little payback for not getting the part.
Some of that, but he also has a lot of good information about, what goes on behind the scenes. It's fun. But they totally broke down Love Actually to the point where it's just, and how Richard Curtis, I think is his name, that wrote that, and Four Weddings and a Funeral, and he actually wrote Yesterday, which I didn't know. He was a writer on Yesterday, that film I love. So, but they killed Love Actually for me. They tried to kill Christmas Story. Actually, he tried to a little bit. I wouldn't let that happen. So
now, are all the reviews negative?
No, not at all. No, they're doing a shtick. This was a Christmas thing they did, but their shtick is to find 100 movies that they would blast into space, and are they worth blasting into space?
You mean for aliens to see them?
Just if somebody found a ship full of movies, these are the movies they'd want aliens to see. Yeah.
Did Clute make it?
I hope it did. I don't know if they talked about Clue. Check them out. They got a lot of good stuff they talk about. But anyway, they ruined that movie for me. So that happened this weekend. Very sad.
So instead of what you're watching, this is what you're not going to watch anymore?
I'm going to still watch it, but I'm going to watch it with a different eye now.
Oh, okay.
And just be like, wow, that person's a dick.
You were totally into that movie.
Yeah. I mean, I cry at the end of that thing. Now I'm going to cry for different reasons. It's horrible. It's just horrible. Anyway, take a listen. I think you guys would like it.
I just subscribed to it.
Good.
Did you smash the like button? Did you hit the notification button?
Of course you did. Like button to smash.
All right. So the film, I got to pick the film this week, and we talked about it. We talked about it last week because Sidney Poitier passed away last week. Poitier. And I made a comment that the Stir Crazy, which is a film I brought, he directed. And I said, he's the first African-American to make over $100 million directing a film. It's actually directing a comedy film, I think.
I thought it was any film.
I don't know if it was any. I think
it was any film.
Was it?
First $100 million film.
That's terrific. He deserved it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's 1980 Stir Crazy, directed by Sidney Poitier, starring Gene Wilder.
Poitier. You keep saying Poitier.
Well, what's his name?
It's not Poitier. Sidney Poitier.
Okay, Poitier. You're the last one to be correcting me on this.
I know, but they've been talking about him since he died every single day.
Sidney Poitier.
Poitier. No.
Guys from Boston saying how to correct their
we can't. I butcher every name, so I have no problem saying Poitier again. 1980 Stir Crazy, of course, starring Gene Wilder and
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Jesus, you forgot his name. Oh my God.
I did. I forgot his name.
Craig T. Nelson.
I'm looking. Craig T. Nelson. I got the list right here.
Craig T. Nelson.
Of course, Jo Beth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, George Sanford Brown. Remember him from The Rookies?
Yeah.
And also, what was the other film we did? He did that Colossus. He was in Colossus as well. Stanford Brown. Barry Corbin playing the warden.
Yeah.
Actually, Jonathan Banks playing one of the guys in prison with the cowboy hat. Yeah.
He was the cowboy.
Funny. Anyway, this is the second in the series. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor did 4 films together as a comic team. Actually, kind of loosely the Blazing Saddles too, because Richard Pryor was in early writings of that one, was supposed to play the sheriff. Gene Wilder ended up in that one. So this is the second one, Silver Streak being the first. The other two, See No Evil. I never saw the other two because I think they kind of. Go ahead.
See No Evil was a disappointment.
Right.
I did see it in the theaters. It was a disappointment. And the other one, Another You, which is the one I really want to see, was their last teaming. It was originally directed by Peter Bogdanovich, who shot like 60% of the film. And then he got fired, and they brought in a new director who reshot everything.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a disaster. I think it barely got released. So
well, it's funny because Silver Streak was the first one they did. And very funny film.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but it wasn't an all-in-out comedy. It was kind of a mystery thriller too.
And Pryor only came in halfway through too.
Who did?
Pryor.
Yeah.
Pryor.
And this one I was reading, he was he was starting his crack cocaine habit during the filming of this one, which is amazing because the performances in this, they're funny as, okay. So we all know, I think we know the story. It's 2 guys, 2 buddies. One's an actor, one's a writer in New York City. They both get fired on the same day. They both decide they're going to pack up and Gene Wilder as the writer, who's the Mr. Optimistic, everything is going to be great. Let's be friends with everybody. He even breaks up a fight in a bar. He doesn't really break it up, but it looks like he does. All the women in the bar all attracted to him. It's he's got Gene Wilder's playing this pretty good. Richard Pryor's a nervous actor, and they decide to go to the Midwest for some reason, or the Rust Belt or something.
Well, I think they're going to
California.
California. And
They're heading to California. They get stuck in the Midwest or something. I don't know. Anyway, they get a job at a bank as these two woodpecker singing guys. And these two other guys end up robbing the bank, wearing the woodpecker suits, so they get thrown in jail. Now, we all know, when this came out, we all know the scene. That's right. We bad. Everybody knows that stuff. But when you watch this, the stuff leading up, okay. And I watched a Siskel and Ebert review of this.
I saw that.
Yeah. Siskel loved it.
Yeah.
Ebert loved the first hour and said the last hour was boring. And he couldn't, at that time, they weren't doing thumbs up. They were just, do we recommend it or not? And he said, I can only recommend the first hour. I can't recommend the second hour, which is the break, which is the,
But when they were showing the clips, he was laughing his head off.
They both were, but it does get that hour, that rodeo scene. And that's, Ebert called it the rodeo. He goes, the rodeo. Goes on too long, and I don't disagree. But let me just show the trailer. Let's get into it a little bit. The other thing they did on that show, the Siskel and Ebert, they showed like 8 minutes of the film. Yeah. It's amazing how much they
showed one long clip in the cafeteria. They showed a really long clip
when the big guy comes in.
Grossberger.
Grossberger. It's so many great scenes. All right,
that poor kid.
Show the trailer.
Has anyone really tried to talk to that poor kid?
There's so many great, and those two together. I mean, that's the whole point. Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder are just terrific together.
I hereby sentence you to serve 125 years.
Have you got the right case?
Columbia Pictures presents Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
I have my head overhauled for listening to you.
Together again in Stir Crazy.
I can't feel nothing in my leg.
One's a little too good.
That's Grossberger, the biggest mass murder in the history of the Southwest.
Nobody has ever just sat down and honestly talked with that man.
Hello.
One's not quite bad enough.
I got this Korean doctor just set foot in this country. Make sure you don't get him.
That's right.
He's the one made the mistake on me.
Korean, right?
How do you go?
That's the cat did me.
Could you actually become involved, romantically, with a prisoner?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I didn't think so.
Excuse me, will you? I'll come with you. Oh,
Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in Stir Crazy. Only these two guys could dress up like woodpeckers and get framed for robbing a bank. Stir Crazy.
that's right, we're bad.
Imagine all the possibilities if the whole world was just like me.
I mean, it's laugh out loud, that trailer. Now, that jazz song you hear at the beginning of that, at the end, is how the whole movie starts. Gene Wilder does this whole song, that song, while they're showing these horrible shots in New York City, people giving each other the finger and stealing cab. It's right behind me, the cab thing. I love this film. I remember seeing this at the theater in 1980.
Me too.
The chemistry with these two guys is just phenomenal. And what gets me every time is Gene Wilder's, we know the premise, right? So these two Northerners end up in this prison, and the warden's always looking for someone to ride the Bronco for this rodeo he wants to do against another warden in Texas. And he tests every new person that comes in the prison, and he gets this guy, Gene Wilder, up there, and Gene Wilder turns out to be
on a mechanical bull.
On the mechanical bull.
Yeah.
But the best part is when they try to break him down.
Right.
And, they send him in the hole, and they come and pick him up, and he goes, one more day, I almost found myself. Or they tie him up right that night in the thing, and he gets down, he goes, my back. I mean, my back. I'm doing it now. It's laugh out loud. And Richard Pryor and him together just make the film what it is. Now, everybody knows that we bad stuff. We bad. But I forgot about in the trailer when the judge gives them 120 years and they're both flipping out, or when they actually get in the prison the first day and they both have that breakdown where they both
ride them like a horse.
When they both just completely lose it when they realize we're actually in prison.
I'm freaking.
Right. Anyway, it's I just think it has such heart, and it's so funny. It does get a little bogged down at the rodeo and the escape plan and all that stuff.
The rodeo.
The rodeo. It introduces us to Jo Beth Williams, who's going to end up with Craig T. Nelson in Poltergeist in a house in L.A. somewhere or Los Angeles. I just found it to be charming, and it really, like I said, I think this is the peak of those two guys, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor's performances together.
Together.
Yeah. And I just wanted to bring it. It's a little lighter film than I would normally bring. But I just think it's, I just want to know what you think about this film. Anyone?
I think Chris should go first because he wasn't here last week.
There you go.
Sure. I saw this movie when it, on videotape. I'm pretty sure that this is one of those ones that we rented right after we got our VCR and back in like 1983. But anyway, it was, I remember a lot of stuff from it, but so revisiting it again was really great because I kind of forgot how much time they spend in New York and like how much they kind of just, that whole opening bit about how, even the homeless lady who finds the I Love New York sweatshirt in the trash, she just blows her nose at it and like throws it away because she just can't stand the sentiment of I love New York. And it's funny too, because like, it reminds me as a kid growing up in the 80s, how so many, I saw these movies from the 70s and in the 80s and how like in my mind, New York really wasn't that different from what you saw in Escape from New York, So like this just kind of built on all of that, there wasn't a lot of difference. I mean, maybe they had lights in New York, but the idea that New York was just this angry, hateful place. So, but this movie was great. And of course, the two of them together, it kind of, you look back on it and you just remember exactly how funny both of those guys really were. And whether it was in this film or in, other movies that they were in, not just, I'd seen Silver Streak too. That's obviously really great. But I really did enjoy it. And it's funny with the rodeo scene, it does drag on a bit, but I think that it's one of those things where, as a director, you get all these great scenes of actual guys fighting actual bulls or riding and rodeoing and all that. And you don't want to I could see how as a director, he wouldn't want to get rid of like some really great stuff, even though that dude was like 50 pounds heavier than Gene Wilder.
Right.
And like a lot more muscular, but, all the stuff that they're doing and stuff. So, but,
well, it bogs down where it bogs down in that is the inner workings inside like when they pull the board down and they all roll underneath and they're crawling up
a long time.
That's where it bogs down. And the whole, the family that's outside with the popcorn thing and it does go on and on and on. And
but even before that, I had this feeling. It was funny because I remember as I was watching it again, I felt it kind of slowing down. And then all of a sudden they go to the strip club and it was like, hey, we got to liven this up again. So let's go to the strip club for a couple minutes. And then they're kind of back in it and stuff like that. Plus, there's always that realistic part of me that goes, didn't they just help a couple of actual convicts escape?
Oh yeah, they're going to jail again.
Isn't that
doubt about it?
Like, yeah. I mean, they might be able to get like probation because they were
they were wrongly accused, but yeah.
But I was like, they just helped like a guy who admittedly killed his stepdad escape from prison, and a bank robber. Right. I mean, he's a one-time bank robber, but still. Anyway.
But they were good guys. They were the good prisoners in there.
They were the good guys.
Prisoners with a heart of gold.
Right.
Exactly.
And Moss Grossberger or whatever, he wasn't going to escape. He could never slide through that board.
Yeah.
No.
So that's what I remembered an unfairness of it.
But I kind of like that because they did say that guy had killed like 12 people.
He killed his family, and then he started killing people that reminded him of him.
No, but that whole play, it's all Gene Wilder. It's all the trying to break the New York guy and he never, like his optimism never faded, ever. The one time it went is after he comes back after that long day out in the field with the axe.
When he's doing the karate. Whoa! Wee.
And he comes back to the room and when everybody all that just it's great. It's great. I'm going on too much. Obviously I love it, but any dissension? Sean, Debbie, quiet.
Let me speak first.
Okay.
I saw this film. I remember it clearly. Saw it New Year's Eve, 1980.
Wow.
Late show, like a midnight show.
Wow, that's what a great way to spend New Year's.
You're a fun guy.
Well, no, I didn't. I was dating a girl who didn't like to party.
Oh,
And, I don't like to party. I don't think I ever went out on New Year's really until I married Debbie. She likes to get.
she's a
Now
party
you guys
girl.
go and play poker and all kinds of
Yeah.
Debbie likes to party down.
Poker. I barely knew her.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I do remember when this film came out, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I really did. But, I was disappointed to see it because I didn't find it as funny, mainly because of the second half.
Yeah.
And, I was overthinking it and I was having plot problems. But what I really did love was it's the little things that really made this, that were funny. Like you see a little bit of it in the trailer, like when they wake up in the morning and they're making them get dressed and they put each other's pants legs on. He's like, oh, I can't feel my leg. So I mean, there's a lot of little and the weird bad stuff, and also I was really, so I mean, I will say I laughed, but to me, had I not seen this film recently and you had asked me, and in fact, it almost made my list of the top 20 comedies of the 80s, top 10. And, but, I didn't find it as funny as I did. And to me, it's what I find really funny is the tone of it. Because on one hand, a lot of the humor between these two guys, like putting on each other's pants legs, is really childish and juvenile. But then again, they're also using the F word all the time, and they go to a strip club with with breasts and everything. So it's sort of like, on one hand, it's juvenile, and on the other hand, it's like an R-rated. It's an R-rated comedy and all, and it just. What really makes me, one thing that I see makes me sad about this film is when you think of, we've all seen Live on the Sunset Strip and Richard Pryor in concert. And he was such a terrific and such an edgy comedian. And I will say that this is better than I think 90% of the film. He made a lot of like crappy films that were like, I think nowhere near that touched his comedy. I mean, you think of things. I think the next movie he did was The Toy, and things like that. Brewster's Million.
He must have been, he had to have been difficult. I mean, Blazing Saddles didn't happen because I think he was drunk all the time. Or
they wouldn't insure him.
Yeah. So, I mean, you think about that.
Going up till noon.
Yeah.
And he was paranoid and he was on crack.
Lost potential. I mean, it's just, and his Sunset Strip was about him burning himself, catching on fire, right? I mean, I think like JoJo Dancer is like a reasonably serious film. He was just in a film.
That was good.
He was just in Lost Highway.
Well, that's what it was. Lost Highway, right? He played the guy who ran the garage.
The MS. You could tell.
They barely had him in there. They just turned him around and
apparently that's why he got why Bogdanovich got fired off of Another You, the last teaming with Wilder. Bogdanovich, I heard in an interview saying that he got fired because Wilder was jealous because he was spending all of his time directing with Richard Pryor, and he said, "Well, I had to, because he had MS was noticeable, and he was losing his confidence in his ability to perform, and he was spending most of his time with."
It's so sad because you can see they're so good together in this.
They are delightful. To me, what makes this film work is the chemistry between those two.
Yeah.
And I was reading a review of it. I don't know, it may have been Ebert that said this film would have been better if Pryor was the more aggressive of the two, and Wilder was the more timid, scared. And Wilder was the more timid, scared guy.
I don't know. Maybe, but the way Wilder played this optimistic Pollyanna guy just walking through life and just all you got to do is be nice to people.
Yeah.
Cutting against them. The scene behind me is when he stops those two guys from killing each other, but he really did nothing. But all the women are like it's just, I thought Wilder played it great. And when you get into the prison and they're trying to break him, it just plays into that complete, this sissy from New York turns out to be, but it's all cliche. His relationship with Jo Beth Williams and, the lawyer cousin, it's a little funky, but it's Wilder and Pryor together.
Now, I don't know if anyone was watching it on a Blu-ray or a DVD, but I'm curious if there's a commentary track, because I'm curious if this film was written with them in mind. I know Friedman, the writer, was an established writer, but whether this was written with this team in mind or whether it just happened to be a script that they got and thought, hey, this would be a good pairing.
I have no idea. I mean, the stuff I read on
They
IMDb.
were looking, Pryor and Wilder were looking for something to do together after Silver Streak. They wanted to do another movie, so they were looking for a script, and I guess this is the one that they found.
Yeah, I know they must have made it work towards them, and they let them do bits and things like that, obviously.
Most of that stuff was improv, they said.
Right.
That's what I was reading. That they,
well, you could see with the pant leg, when he put his leg through it, you could see Gene Wilder laughing. I mean, it was a real laugh. It wasn't a character laugh. I mean, he was laughing. And that happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
When the big guy, when he's trying to light the match.
Oh my God. So
and Gene Wilder, you could tell Gene Wilder's breaking up. Then finally, oh shit.
I do think that jail scene is what
that's the one I remember as a kid, the we bad.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
But watching it again and all the, like the little, even the very first dinner.
Oh,
there it's back. I'm back.
Went out. Oh, there you go.
I'm back, right?
Wow, yeah, something's really funky tonight.
Keeps cooking. I know. I don't wonder what happened.
Wait, Deb, I want to hear from Deb. We heard from Sean. What about Deb?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, John.
Sorry.
No, it's Ralph. Ralph's a little off tonight, so I'm just gonna try to guide this a little bit more.
Just take over. I'm just gonna sit.
Deb, what'd you think about it?
Well, here's what I wanted to see this movie when it first came out, but I don't know why I never got around to it. But when Ralph picked it, I was so looking forward to watching it. And man, I just couldn't wait to see it. And then when I saw it, my first thoughts were Spitfire Grill.
Oh, what? That's so wrong. Now, Chris, what she's saying is
I didn't see that coming.
Debbie brought Spitfire Grill on one of these that she loved, raved about.
Yeah.
But by the end of our podcast, she realized how much it sucked and she changed her mind.
No. She realized she didn't like it after she picked it.
After I watched
it. We're like,
this is no Spitfire Grill. I love this film more now than I did as a kid. But go ahead.
So, Deb, other than that, what did you think?
Are you just trolling me, Deb? Are you just trolling me right now?
No, I don't want to hurt your feelings, Ralph.
Don't worry about that.
Wait, had you seen this movie, Deb?
No, it's the first.
Oh, you never saw this movie?
What didn't you like about the film?
It just didn't hold up. You know, the humor. There was like the leg part was funny, and then you bad. That was 2 times that I laughed. But the whole concept, I think the idea, of them leaving New York and going to Texas and, and then the very end when, they found the 2 guys and now that's all they do is get.
They found them in a strip club and we got to see breasts.
Well, Jo Beth Williams said, remember she said I was going to be a waitress in a strip club. We're going to look for the tattoo because the guy had a tattoo on his hand. They need to look.
Right. The little girl saw the tattoo.
Very logical. It's logic.
Yeah, very logical. Anything that works, that gets us that scene.
His mind comes up with that. That's just too contrived. I know.
Contrived. Now you're worried about contrivities? Is that a word?
No. You have one, you suspend your
disbelief
with one time. And then
contributies.
Okay, this, that, and the other thing, and it's too much. And it's just like, he could do this or he could do that. Let's have him do this. And it's like, okay, want to try again?
That's the okay.
Oh,
I'm not
that's
going to try to explain to you comedy, Debbie, because I know you know comedy. You're sitting next to your husband, who's one of the funniest people I know. You're funny. You're very funny. You two are actually Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder to me, as far as I can see.
That's the best compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. But I'm surprised. Okay, so you didn't jive with the comedy. What?
Can I say one thing? I will say that rewatching this film, I have a new book that I just finished. I'm going to get ready to send it out for trying to get a publisher. And my hero ends up in jail. He's like a guy kind of like Gene Wilder, ends up in jail. And he ends up in a cell with a guy who's like this homicidal, huge guy who's a killer. And as I was watching this movie, it's like, yeah, I stole that from this movie.
Yeah.
You know, I stole this guy is Grossberger, and he's he's Jose
you steal stuff.
Cabanet.
You know, like when you hear music, you've heard it all before. You know, there's only so many notes.
But this guy is definitely that character. That character, when this guy walks into a room at the prison, everyone is scared crapless of him. And this guy follows him around like a puppy because he knows no one's going to rape him while he's around this guy. And no one's going to kill him while he's around this guy unless it's that guy himself. You know,
well, neither of us have been to prison. We don't know what it's like.
I like the way Sean just plugged his book in this.
I didn't plug my
a little bit.
Life
I love it
at all.
I love it.
That guy, the actor playing the actor
comes out.
The amazing thing about that actor playing Grossberger, I think he was like an MIT.
Yeah, he was
student or something. He was
an
like
opera guy. Yeah, he was an opera guy.
Well, that song, that's you know, that's.
He was in that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Running Man.
He does that song.
Oh, right. I was wondering. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. So Debbie, you didn't like it.
Come on,
I'm not gonna say I didn't like it because I did laugh, but then the like Ebert said, you know, the second part.
It definitely drags, and you really have to suspend disbelief when you're watching how many times that.
Pryor, I love Gene Wilder.
Well, how many open grates do they have outside of prison that you could just put a popcorn thing right next to it? All right. So anything else, Debbie, before I move on to John, who might have liked it, maybe?
John liked it.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's see.
John?
What do you say, John?
Well, look, I saw this in the movie theater, and I feel the same way about it today as I felt then. I love the first half of the movie. In fact, I laughed my ass off during the first half of the movie. The stuff that I found funny back then, I still find funny. The second half was just okay. It dragged. I think Silver Streak was a much better movie. I think their chemistry in this movie was better than Silver Streak because Silver Streak was really Gene Wilder's movie, and Richard Pryor was a supporting character. They were equal. Look, I am a huge Richard Pryor fan. I think he was a complete waste because of what he did to himself and what he could have been, even bigger than he is. But I'm a huge Gene Wilder fan. I've always been a huge fan of his comedy. In fact, I had an article written about me when I was doing dinner theater and I was in college. And one of the questions I asked, who's your favorite comedic actor? And I said Gene Wilder. And in the article, they put Gene Hackman, which is totally not the right thing. Yeah, not even close, right?
Oh, that's good.
Their chemistry, and I think the way they each played it really worked well together. With Wilder playing the manic kind of Zen guy, right? And Pryor kind of the jittery one, because I just think it worked so well. Their chemistry was so good. And you know, most of it was improvised, which I love. And you could see it. And like I said earlier, in a lot of the scenes, Gene Wilder's starting to laugh. I mean, Richard Pryor's cracking him up. And they were really, I found myself laughing out loud watching it, even though I remembered everything. It was still funny to me. And after all these years, I still found it really funny. And it's sad because they're both gone. And that's kind of sad too, right? But again, I'm a big Gene Wilder guy. And his thing, what? You know, the stuff that he does is just so Gene Wilder. You know, no one put that in a script for him to go, what? And to me, the funniest scenes in the whole movie was when they were trying to break him.
Yeah,
that was to me was
be Wilder.
What was that?
Nobody could be wilder than Gene.
But Craig T. Nelson's frustration with him that none of the stuff's working. You know, he's being latched. It was hilarious. Now again, after watching the Siskel and Ebert review, I agreed with Ebert completely. The second half of the movie was okay. That's why I think Silver Streak was a much better movie, because it wasn't a comedy.
Yeah, but I would still, as a whole, I would still recommend this film.
I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend it, but you have to go into it knowing the first half I think is hilarious. The second half is okay. It doesn't compare to the first half of the movie, and it's certainly not nearly as funny as the first half of the movie. But I just think they're great together, and frankly, this was their best collaboration out of the 4 films that they made. This was the best one. You said Gene Wilder, they were at their peak. No, I mean,
no, as a team. Not as a team.
Yeah, because Wilder,
I mean, what other pairs? Producers. Okay, Laurel and Hardy. Name some other pairs.
Martin and Lewis. Okay, Hope and Crosby.
How about contemporary ones? Anybody now that could do this? David
Franco,
Spade,
Seth. Seth Rogen and.
Well, they don't do that. They're not going to do that anymore.
I mean, Chris Farley and David Spade.
Yeah,
maybe.
Spade.
But even that dynamic, the Rush Hour movies, they tried it with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, but it wasn't the same because, first of all, Gene Wilder's a really good actor.
Yeah,
he's not a comedian; he's an actor.
Yeah,
Richard Pryor's a comedian, right? So that's a little different too, because Gene Wilder's a really good actor and he plays a lot of different stuff. So I think it is a little bit different. But I don't know if there's anybody contemporary like these two at that time.
Yeah,
especially the first 2 with Silver Streak and this one. But I liked it. I mean, I found myself just laughing out loud at the scenes. I just thought they were so funny. When he's playing cards with Grossberger,
right?
And they start pulling cards out from each other.
Well, that's after that. So the scene is he comes back from solitary.
Yeah, but the way they were all laughing. Right. Made me believe that was improvised.
Yeah, no, I had to agree.
Pryor had the cards up his shorts and everything.
Yeah.
It was great.
A great scene where Pryor is like pushed up against the bunk bed by.
He's help. He's just like, and then Gene Wilder. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait over here. I'm just gonna stay right over here. And he's got his hands outside the bars praying. It was just great. It was great.
Yeah,
very funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Remembering these scenes, are you liking the film more now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, makes me laugh.
I'll tell you, John, one film, and I'd like to see it again because I haven't seen it since the theaters when it first came out. Gene Wilder film that I really loved was Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother.
I saw that.
I'm curious if it would still hold up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was okay for me. Like the producers.
Oh yeah.
He was just that movie. He was so funny in that movie, and I am a huge Willy Wonka fan, and the way he played that part was, to me, like the Johnny Depp one was a friggin' joke. He was just so good in that. And when you watch it, as a kid, you can watch it and see one thing, and as an adult, you watch it and it's got a completely different flavor to it. The way he played it, and he was great in it. I love him. He's just one of those guys.
Young Frankenstein. It's
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, he's in Bonnie and Clyde, right? He plays a serious.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that was his breakthrough performance.
Yeah. And actually, one of the Richard Pryor films he was supposed to do, he ended up doing with Gilda. They switched
Hanky Panky,
and they
because Pryor dropped out.
Yeah, so they put his wife in there.
No, Richard Pryor played a very good role in Lady Sings the Blues.
Yes,
he could really act.
And Superman 3.
Yeah, please don't insult me. Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars, I think he was in. Was that the one he was in?
He was very good in that too.
Yeah, he was good in that. I mean, he did some good stuff. His problem was the drugs. I mean, he just destroyed himself. I mean, and he probably would have got a lot more roles, but even these great directors didn't want to work with him because he was too unreliable. Gene Wilder, who seems to be the nicest guy in the world, found him to be unreliable, and it got hard for him because he felt like the director, like what Ralph said, a lot of the directors kind of had to nurture Pryor to get him through the stuff. So the attention went away from all the other actors. And the one thing that actors want is attention. Yeah. Okay. So it's tough. It's tough even for someone like that, even though they had such great chemistry. I'm sure they wanted to do a lot more together.
Yeah. I mean, if you read the stuff from the day, I mean, they would, and of course it's all junket stuff, but they seem to really enjoy each other, and they seem to get really well off.
Well, that comes through. That comes through in this. I mean, that comes through. If you're saying, if they're laughing while he's doing that, my leg, they're enjoying each other. And I don't know how, like a Craig T, I'd love to see the outtakes of the guys around them as they're pulling like that one. It's so you get Craig T. Nelson, but there's also that first guard that he slaps the baton out of his hand. Yeah. And Gene Wilder starts doing the playground thing, whatever he's doing there. You got to wonder how that guy was handling. It's just, this film makes me happy, and watching it again, and then, of course, Jo Beth Williams. That's sort of my introduction to her too.
You really get the hots for Jo Beth Williams.
Listen, the Poltergeist, when she's flopping around in that bedroom with her underwear on, the Poltergeist is flipping her up around her room. Oh, cute. Very cute.
Well, this also made me want to see Urban Cowboy again.
Ralph, are you really that much of a horn dog, really?
You have no idea, Debbie.
Debbie, I can say with 100% surety, yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. What
am I, like a priest, Debbie? What do you think? I mean,
no, you are.
I'm a red-blooded American male.
What's the opposite of a priest?
I know I'm old, but
Ralph.
Jesus.
No, Ralph. 60 isn't old.
Okay, I want to talk about one more scene and then we'll get off. It's when I'm looking at it because Charles Weldon as Blade. Blade was that guy where he introduces Richard Pryor to the bull, the safe word, this one, the bull, he's going to be mean. I just love that scene ends with him going shit, and then the bull goes and attacks Richard Pryor. Classic, right, Debbie? Classic scene. That's the one that you really probably remember the most.
Shit.
Blade. You remember Blade? How did you guys feel about the portrayal of the gay George Stanford Brown's?
That guy
He
in
was
like
on 3 of the Peggy Lipton and
yeah.
No, he's not the Mod Squad.
Yeah.
No,
Isn't
he's
he
the Rookies. Rookies.
the rookie.
Oh,
George Stanford Brown was in the Rookies.
I thought he was in the Mod Squad.
I thought he was in the Mod Squad. Yeah.
No, that's Williams, Clarence Williams III.
Oh yeah. You're right.
No, he's in the Rookies. Also in the Colossus, whatever that film that I talked
Forbin
about.
Project.
The Forbin Project. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I thought when I saw that. I thought it was funny. I thought he was hilarious because it's so against type for him.
Yeah.
But what went through my head was you couldn't get away with that today.
no.
That's what went through my head.
Well, what you couldn't get away with is the rejection of the like the way Richard Pryor was responding to him.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, this is gross. What are you doing? Get away.
Yeah.
But I
that
thought it was.
funny.
I still thought it was. I didn't find it like a put. I don't know. I just think Richard Pryor was being honest about.
Wait, Chris wants to say
Go
some
ahead,
liberal
jump
thing,
in.
I
Let's
think.
go.
I was going to say, no, actually, it's funny about the overall. I mean, overall, I thought the character was surprisingly, I know a lot of times people love to say, especially about comedies, you couldn't make that today. And the funny thing is as I watched this film, I was like, you could make this movie completely today. About the only part that you probably would see a little bit different is when, like you said, when a guy kisses Pryor on the lips, he's wiping his mouth.
Right,
and
right.
He kissed me, But let's be realistic. For 1980, the way that he was treated, and because like he's grabbing and he's holding on to Pryor the whole time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pryor's afraid because he's in prison.
Right.
Like he's holding on to Pryor the whole time. It's not like a constant pushing away. It's not like I think they actually treated him surprisingly, once again, for 40 years ago, treated him with a surprising amount of respect.
He was part of the team. I mean, he was helping.
He's part of the team. He's part of the planning. He's the one who figures it out,
It's ever so complicated when you see how, here it is, 2022, and you see the progression of how gay people were treated back in those days. Or portrayed. And then, you hear something from, something about Richard Pryor and having prior experiences with Marlon Brando. And yeah.
You haven't
I never heard that.
Are you telling me there's a lot of closeted gays in Hollywood and in real life? Yeah. Okay. Because
who's that big record producer? Who's that big record? Quincy Jones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did a big interview about 2 years ago. In fact, strangely, it's his last big interview, where one thing he says is that he knew that Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando were lovers.
I never heard that.
But the thing is about that,
and everyone just wonders
if that's the
who
way
was on top.
What?
Well, no, I think that kind of thing.
No, I mean not everybody.
For the person, that's a very private, thing, and
yeah, we should probably keep it private.
Privacies.
Yeah, we should.
Well, I mean, again, that's back to Rock Hudson, they fake. I mean, come on.
Not in the closet or anything, but
yeah, but Rock Hudson was I mean, that was not a well kept secret. Everybody in Hollywood knew it.
How do you think it would be perceived if you knew that Richard Pryor had a homosexual relationship with Marlon Brando? You think that might affect his box office a little back then?
Oh God, yeah.
Well, I think that happened after this.
And I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's not. I'm not saying.
Well, here's the thing. Also, too, there was another. I don't know if scandals is the right word, but there was a benefit for gay rights in Hollywood. And I don't know, I think it was in the 80s or late 70s. And a lot of people weren't willing to do it. And Richard Pryor did it. And he was a big name, and they were very happy that he did it. But then apparently he did a lot of gay jokes, which alienated the audience. So, I mean, on one hand, he was extremely brave to go and do this event that people were kind of steering away from. And then he did a lot of material.
But that's comedy. That is what you take the worst thing.
I think you tell Richard Pryor not to say something.
Well,
or be careful.
Well, now imagine doing that, and then what's he go back and say to Brando when he's whatever's going on? I mean,
well, I think
it's got to be. It's a complicated, and this is the same year Cruising came out too. Cruising was 1980 as well.
Yeah,
I think so. I'm just saying the portrayal. I mean, he sets it up by slapping his hand when he reaches for the sugar.
Yeah, then he said he killed somebody.
Because my stepdad killed me for slapping my hand. So now Richard Pryor's not going to
fun of me and slapping my hand.
Right? Why? Yeah, exactly.
Slapping my hand.
Why'd you kill your father? Well, that's why.
By the way, this was a third highest grossing film of 1980.
That's amazing.
Only behind 9 to 5 and Empire Strikes Back.
Oof.
That baseball movie.
How about that?
What's the baseball movie?
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my God. Debbie's on a roll tonight. What is that?
Debbie, you're like butter. You're on a roll.
Oh my God. Okay.
No, but I will say that
I'm sorry.
I'm going to reiterate. I think that the quote unquote gay character was, although they made fun of him, he was an integral part of the team, and he wasn't just a joke. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, he was not a joke. They didn't make fun of him. Richard Pryor's reactions, you might go, hey, that's a little, but again, no, he was not made a joke of at all. He was part of the escape plan.
Yeah.
And he ends up with getting in a car with the family of the bank robber guy there.
Yeah. I did read some contemporary reviews of the film.
Oh.
We're really pointing out that this was a kind of a black mark against the film, the way that character is treated, which I disagree with.
Yeah.
I don't think that this was just, here's a gay guy, let's make fun of him.
No,
I feel that.
What's a contemporary? Do people are people reviewing old films like this?
Yeah. You do on YouTube. You see them all the time.
Oh, you mean like us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm a contemporary reviewer. I didn't know that.
Ralph, I recommend a site if you haven't been there yet that you will fall into and never leave.
Yeah.
It's every 70s movie.
Oh.
The guy is reviewing every film from the 70s.
That's the name of the podcast, Every 70s Film?
Well, it's a web page. Yeah, look at every 70s.
Oh, Ralph, that's right up your friggin' alley, man.
I mean, it is great. And
that's the golden age of film for Ralph.
Yeah.
That's the golden age of film for everybody, not just me.
1939 is
that's why we're doing this podcast.
Best year of film ever.
And this was a 70s film because I think it
came out in 1980.
Yeah, it was 1980 that it came out.
Yeah, but it still had the 70s feel. And it was shot, it was written.
It was too well lit for a 70s movie.
Somebody was well lit.
Oh, by the way,
Richard Pryor was well lit.
No, here's my brush with greatness. The cinematographer Fred Schuler. I think I shot a commercial with him, and I think I even drove when I was at an agency. I even drove to New York and picked him up, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow!
What was he like?
Nice.
Let's save that for the next podcast. What he was like. Ralph, good call. I'm surprised you brought such a
light film,
a light, happy film.
I brought it because Mr. Sidney Poitier passed away, and I decided to watch the film for that reason. And then I just really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I laughed. There's so many scenes, but even where the judge lays down the 125 years on it.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a silly throwaway thing, and I laughed my ass off both at their reaction and the lawyer next to them going, "Oh, I just screwed this whole,"
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, he convinced him to plead. That's why.
Yeah. And you're saying Richard Pryor was supposed to be the aggressive one. Richard Pryor is the one ready to throw Gene Wilder under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was going to kick the shit out of the lawyer.
By the way, Richard Pryor wasn't in the woodpecker costume.
Oh, really?
Only in the promo. He wouldn't do it.
Oh,
so it was Gene Wilder and some other guy when they were in the bank.
Really?
It wasn't Richard Pryor.
Oh,
So he probably didn't do the robbery either.
He only agreed to do it in the promo photos. That was it.
Well, what was his objection?
I don't know. But that's part of the problem.
He was high.
They were probably
paranoid.
He was freebasing at that time.
He probably talks to woodpeckers while he's getting high. Who knows?
Someone threw watermelon at him.
Yeah, so they had watermelon as part of the catering service, and they were throwing at each other, and a piece of watermelon got on his foot, and he left the set because he was so offended by it. I mean, listen, he had his own demons. What are you going to do? I mean, the guy was brilliant. Most brilliant people do have demons, don't they?
He suffered, as you know, all artists have to.
I guess so. I
guess I don't suffer anything, so I'm not an artist. I see what you're saying.
The comedians the really funny ones, they have
the comedians are sad clowns, man.
I have to tell you that I've done comedy my whole life. And I am not I am not like this deep dark thing. I just like making people laugh. There's nothing else behind it. So I don't get that sometimes.
Well, that's not true of everybody.
Well, what about Ralph? He's deep and dark.
Ralph is very dark. I'm not going to lie. He's very dark, and he is. And his drinking is a way to reach out, kind of, So
is this comedy? What you're doing right now is comedy?
No, Ralph, we're psychoanalyzing you just a tad.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's rate this puppy. I want to start with Debbie.
Okay, I have since changed my.
Oh, she's so easy.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
She really.
Oh, yes, she is.
Debbie really loves us. This is how I know this because she's always changing her mind.
Really, I'm going to give it like Yippee-Ki-Yay and on the first part. And then a meh on the second.
Yeah, part. I'm with you on that one.
Not a negative.
Yeah.
But,
Sean,
I'm going to say Yippee-Ki-Yay, but as I said, I wish I hadn't seen it because I loved it a lot more when I first saw it. But it still made me laugh. I still enjoyed seeing it. I was glad we saw it, and I'm glad we took a chance on a film like this because it's a little offbeat for what we normally do.
Yeah, Chris.
Yippee-Ki-Yay. I mean, yeah, same across the board. Sure, the ending falls down a little bit, but it's like, how many comedies, the second half always is a little less.
That's true.
Funny.
That is true.
Especially when you have a comedy that has like an actual setup, like a narrative. You've got to resolve the story of them in jail.
Yeah.
Like you can't, even though they catch the guys that did it, they catch them off screen.
Yeah.
Like, very end, you have no idea that those guys have been caught till Joe Beth Williams goes, "Hey man, they've been caught." And you're like, "What? When did that happen?"
Yeah, but they still help guys break out of prison. So there is that whole.
Oh, they're going back to jail. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's a sequel. Yeah, I give I give it a thumbs up. Yeah. Again,
obviously I do. And Sean, I have the opposite reaction. Like I remember loving this as a kid, watching it at 19. I wasn't a kid, but 18, something like that. I absolutely loved it when I saw this thing again. It made me I laughed out loud funny. And I don't know if that's because I'm getting, it's easier now because it's, I really want things to be, make me happy with everything going on. It's just and I just really enjoyed the nostalgia of what's going on here. And those two guys, because I started with Silver Streak, which I had watched a couple months ago. And then, when Poitier died, I just wanted to see this again. And I just loved it. And yes, it drags at the end, but
someone bringing me down during the movie.
What happened? What was she doing?
Not enjoying it.
Well, I know it's tough. It's tough when you.
Another thing too, it was late at night.
She's early to bed.
Way past my bed.
Well, you can't.
Oh yeah, that's not when you want to watch a comedy late at night when you're half asleep.
Yeah,
it's really difficult. Like if you bring a film to somebody, so you got to watch this film, and if you sit and watch it with them, that's one of the That's a tough thing to do because you really want them to enjoy it the way you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for the same reaction. And when you don't get that, it makes it hard on you as well because you're like, I don't understand why they're not under this. But, that's what film, that's what's great. Everybody takes
I did this with somebody with something about Mary. I saw it with one person.
I love that movie.
Thought it was hilarious. I laughed all the way through, and so did the theater. Then I told some other person, "Oh, you got to see this film with me," and they literally didn't laugh once.
Oh my God! How about the dog scene when the little dog was dragging them all over the place? I laughed my ass off just thinking about that.
I laugh at every little thing in that movie, like when they're in the apartment, and it's just like it's an unrelated gag. There's just like a pile of dog poop on the floor.
What I love?
They don't even bother explaining.
I love about Jonathan Richman showing up and strumming around and singing his music through the whole movie. It was just so creative to combine.
That's a hilarious movie. I love that movie.
It wasn't a musical, but it really had nice touches.
Well, they stick all their friends in their films, and a lot of them are musicians. So they got it. Those guys have good hearts. Some of the stuff doesn't work so well. Most of it does.
The Farrelly brothers,
and they're locals. Locals for me. They're from Rhode Island.
During that second screening, when the guy I recommended see the film, saw, and he's just sitting there stone faced. I'm like, how
when
could
Ben Stiller can't find his splooge. Come on. I mean,
is that hair gel?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, I can't. All right. So good job. Thank you. I'm glad you guys, most of you liked it. Debbie came around a little bit.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just one more reason, Ralph, to subscribe to our channel.
That's right. So
smash
this is
the
the
like
kind of
button,
scintillating
share it.
and conversation you get. So Sean, you kind of hinted at the beginning. What's happening on the next show we're doing?
Oh, we're
going to be talking. Sometimes we bring in experts in fields, like we had a mob associate in to discuss Donnie Brasco. So we're bringing in a professional football player, played, I believe, 11 years, 9 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Our son-in-law, Eric Hicks, to discuss his favorite film. The film we asked him, what was the most accurate football film to your experience playing the game? And he said it was Any Given Sunday.
That's so fascinating to me.
And he agreed to come in, and we told him.
Great. I can't wait to talk about that because, like I told you before, I think that's a film that an ex-NFL football player would want us to believe that that's what football's really like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to dive into that because for me, a non-football playing, little skinny, not skinny, but little North Dallas 40 seems to me to be the most realistic portrayal. So I kind of want to get into that with him. I think
I want to know how many football movies he's seen.
Yeah.
Every one.
Yeah. Well, how's he related? Son-in-law, how's he related to, where's the?
Formerly married. Okay.
To,
so they met in Maryland when he was playing for the Terps, and she was working as a physical therapist for the football team. I mean, not working. She was going to school for that. And that's how, and they were told they were not allowed to date the football.
Dip in the Pen and Company ink.
So she was
nice.
She was first going with the quarterback. And then the quarterback said something really bad she didn't like. And he was out. I think she had 2 dates with the quarterback.
But wait, she wasn't supposed to date any of these people, and she dated
you're
two
not
of them?
supposed to. Of course, you're not supposed to. It's like the cheerleaders.
This is what I want to talk to him about. I don't care about the other, Oliver Stone's.
I don't know where she got that from.
Yeah.
But But he got an award, Ed Block Award. He fathered 2 of the cutest little grandkids. No, I mean, all my grandkids are cute, but they're the oldest 2.
Good cover, Deb, right there. Good job. Yeah.
And one's Shayla and one's Rocco. And Rocco's now playing.
Rocco.
He plays for Bowling Green, freshman year, tight end.
But, of course, his name's Rocco. He's going to play football.
Well, that's great. Well,
or be a mob enforcer.
That'll be fun. So this will be our Super Bowl special. Can we say Super Bowl?
I don't know why.
Or do we have to say the big game? Can we say this? Nobody's.
No, you can't say it, but we can say the football playoffs.
Okay.
Playoff edition.
I did say Super Bowl though, so maybe
you can't say that.
Okay.
You can say the football championship game.
The big game.
Believe me, they got ears everywhere, Ralph.
I know. We'll see.
We'll see this being beeped.
Right.
Yeah.
YouTube.
I'm sure nobody's watching. But all right, so good. So that's next week. I can't wait. Oh, you guys all wearing your football jerseys or what?
Yeah.
We're gonna probably be wearing bowling green.
Oh,
to
okay.
honor our grandson.
Okay. Chris Coker, I hope you can make it. You got to
Yeah, I'm
rearrange some
really
stuff.
excited. Yeah. I was about to say, because like I said, I sat through all 2 hours and 45 minutes of Any Given Sunday again. And
You got some questions?
Yeah, I do. I do, because
Sat through. I'm thinking you didn't like it.
And I mean, I could get into a little bit of it now. Like I was working at Blockbuster Video when that, what was that movie? Varsity Blues came out.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember like every little high school kid was going bananas over that. And I was like, I think this is how they wish high school football was like. Now, granted, that was in Texas, and I know it's different. I had a friend of mine who used to work with her, and this woman, and she went to high school in Texas, and she said that there was, now granted, she said 4 schools shared this stadium, but it was a high school football stadium that held 25,000 people.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, like, it didn't sell out, wasn't completely packed for normal games, but any kind of playoff, it was completely packed. And so on the one hand, I'm sure that things are different down there than they are, here in Maryland, where, we have other things to do, quite honestly. But I really do want to talk to him about that, because there are those great scenes, and like even in North Dallas 40, there's those crazy parties that they're at where there's just women everywhere. And,
they're not dissimilar. Like the two films.
Is somebody else turning into a horn dog or what?
Well, I mean, just like,
turning into. He already is. What do you mean turning into? Look at the hair on that guy.
Sean, don't follow them. Don't follow his voice.
Sean is the. Oh, you kidding me, Debbie? You're gonna. Oh, come here. All right, we're not doing this.
Anyway.
Can we talk about this stuff in front of your son-in-law? This horn dog stuff. Okay.
Well, I think you'll find him very straightforward about it.
Cool.
I think
I'm super excited about
colorful language at times.
Has he watched our show? Does he know what we do?
Yeah, I'm going to send him a link.
Yeah, you better do that.
So.
All right, well, good. So that'll be the next show. So we're not going to spin the wheel. This doesn't count against you, Sean. This is an extra. So,
Sean, you should send him the one for Young Frankenstein, so he thinks we get tens of thousands.
yeah. Show him that one.
Actually, we did one. Did we do
Look
one
at all
on
those
football?
views.
We did one on football, didn't we? Didn't we do we did one on
you
football.
And I think cue it up. We did one.
I thought we all did one because I picked
we might have done
Wildcats and
sports
everyone-
films. We might have done sports films, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we did
Tin Cup.
Tin Cup one against Sandlot and what was the other one? Not Field of Dreams. Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky. All right, so this would be we have an expert. I really think that football players want us to think that any given
we should
Sunday
talk
is-
about that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, you got dinner? Is that why?
No, but I just want to make one thing very clear, that you are very adamant about keeping the shows to a certain length when other people bring a movie on. We're almost at an hour and a half with the movie you pick. So I just want to know in the future, if we want to go over the hour, that we'll be able to do that now based on this show tonight.
Yeah. But
Okay,
then I'll just
good.
edit it to an hour. So.
You won't edit this to an hour.
No, this is going full blown. We're in. This is staying on.
I got to say this. It seems like we've only been talking for 5 minutes.
It feels that way, Deb, doesn't it? It just time flies when you're having fun.
So
It
does. I don't think other people feel the same way, but
I don't.
I definitely do.
I think you're wrong. I think the
All right.
6 people.
All right,
The
so
6
there you go.
people
John,
hit the lights.
John, put the clock on. I can't believe you put the clock on.
One more final thing. I really miss Betty White.
Oh.
Not Bob Saget.
Oh, and Bob.
Not Sidney.
I miss Dwayne Hickman.
And Dwayne Hickman.
I miss him. The man who loves Adobe Gillis.
Did you
Maynard G.
actually watch
Krebs.
that show?
Yeah.
You are such an old guy.
Maynard G. Krebs, Ralph Gilligan.
John, you're so old. I can't.
I'm
get
not.
over
I'm an
this
old
stuff.
soul. I'm an old
Okay,
soul.
Whatever. Wow. All right. Chris looks like he wants to get off. I can tell. I can see. it. He's
No,
stressing
no.
out.
Yeah. What's that got to do with ending the show? But okay. Anyway.
John, another horn dog.
Oh boy. All right. So next week, NFL football star.
Get ready for some football.
Go. All right.
It's great.
All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll see you next week.
You too. Great show, Ralph. Great pick.